Can you see the screen, please?
Yes.
Okay. So I did this session yesterday as well, but some of them have missed. So let's do it again. Okay. So like for those doctor who have just started their lab 2 journey, I know it is very difficult because no one teaches you the basic. They just start from the mocks or read the notes. But if you don't know your basic, how you will read the notes? You are a doctor, you are not a person who just reading a book. Okay. So in the lab 2 exam, first thing is that you need to know who you are. You are a junior doctor. Junior doctor who do only things, basic things, who always in the ward. Senior depends on you to talk to patient, to do the basic investigation, and to means you are there in the ward to look after the patient. Senior will not be there for you all the time, but he will be there when you need him. So, so you need to, when you go to the exam, when you look at the scenario, please pay attention where you are, whether you are in the surgery, whether you are in the emergency department, whether you are in psychiatry, whether you are in the pediatric or surgical ward, because it is important. Why? If patient is coming to you in the GB clinic with pain, severe pain, you need to refer him, isn't it? You can't keep him in the surgery. So that's your job to recognize the emergency situation and refer the patient instantly. Okay? If you are in the emergency, so you are in the hospital. So the see things changes. If a patient with a chest pain coming to you in the ER, you will not refer him to anywhere. You say, I will do this and this. You will mention everything there. If he needs echo, you can mention, okay, maybe we our senior might need to do echo for you because you are in the hospital. Are you getting my point? Okay. So this is important to know where you are. So whenever you read a question, pay special attention where you are. What's your position? Now, who is your senior? Your senior is your consultant. And please don't say senior, say senior doctor. Because in the ward, you have got nurses as well, you have got registrar as well, you have got the ST1, ST2, ST3 as well, those who are senior than you. But you need to mention who you're talking about. So senior doctor. Okay. I will be talking to my senior doctor to discuss this further. This will make a really difference in your consultation. If you say senior, the person will say, who doctor? Who senior is? And we say senior, my senior doctor. Because in the ward, we say the ST1 or the registrar with their names, but consultant, we say to him as a doctor. Okay. Okay, now in the pleb, nowadays in the pleb, they have got 16 stations in which you have to perform and 2 rest stations in which you just go and sit there, and if you want, you can have a biscuit, it's all there. If you are thirsty, you can have water. And of course, you when you sit down there, you think about what you have done in the last station. But you know, it is really difficult exam in the in the sense of that what I say is that this is really a, you know, torture exam, because you will go in the station, then you outside the station, in the station, outside station, in the station, and you will get exhausted. You don't know what you're doing. Okay. Now, in terms of how you are being marked in the exam, so there are three main things: history taking or data gathering, and management, and plus IPS. I have written down IPS in a big words because IPS starts when you enter the room and it ends when you leave the room. So it is like a circle in which you have got history and management. And all three things, they have got 4 marks, 4 marks each. So total 12 marks. Okay. So don't think that IPS is only when you talk to patient. No, is when you enter the room, when you introduce yourself, when you sit down, when you look at the patient with smiling face. See, this is your IPS. Okay, now what is station coming in the exam? They are telephonic consultations, face-to-face, combined, examination plus history, procedures, which is also a sort of combined stations because you have to take focus history there, and cement. Okay. Now what I'm trying to say to everyone, that please try to focus, try to make yourself 100% in your examinations, in your procedures, and in your cement, because they are there. 3 stations are there for you no matter what. So you are make yourself 100% in these stations, so you know that you will definitely pass these stations. So work on these stations, please. Okay. Now, how many time you have got when you go to the station? I have written here 7 minute and 45, but I say you have got only 7 minute and 30 second. Because when you go to the room, you will say, my name is this and this, my GMC number is this and this, 30 second has gone already. Then you go to your chair, you introduce yourself again to the patient, then your 30 second gone. So it almost 7 minutes station in which you have to complete everything. So that's why always take focus history. Don't waste your time. You don't have time. And don't think too much about information. You don't need too much information. So up till now, everything is clear? Or any question about exam pattern?
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Clear.
Okay, so this history which I have written here, this is base. This is your base, because this is the base which you can change in every sort of stations. In counseling, the same thing, but in a different pattern. In ethicals, same thing, but in a different pattern. Angry patient, it is same thing, but a little bit of different. So this is your base. When you go to cubicle, first of all, introduce yourself to the patient in a nice way. Smile face. Do not like this, hello, my name is this. No. Hello, my name is this and this, and I'm one of the doctors working here. Okay, one thing, never say I'm a junior doctor. Please, please, please. Because if you say junior doctor, sometime the simulator might say, I don't want to talk to a junior doctor. I want a senior doctor. What you will do then? Okay, so always say, I am one of the doctors working in the GP or working in the clinic or working in the emergency department today. Okay, so forget about the word junior. Say, I'm one of the doctors. Then you need to ask patient about his age, name, date of birth. Okay, why I have written age, date of birth, and name? Because in the telephonic stations, we confirm date of birth because patient is not in front of you. Okay. When you do face to face, you will ask for the age because it is written in your question as well. You ask, can you please just confirm your name and age for me? Don't say separate sentences. Can you please just confirm your name and age for me? Thank you. Thank you, him. Thank you. So now your now your consultation start. Open question. Just say, how can I help you today with? Easy question. If patient is want to tell you, he can tell you everything in one go. Okay. If we say to you, let's suppose headache. Doctor, I'm having headache. Okay. So you ask, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you comfortable to talk? Any pain, whenever patient comes to you with the pain, ask this as well. Write down in your, if you're writing down that, are you comfortable to talk? Yes, doctor, I am comfortable. Okay. If suppose he said, no, doctor, I'm not comfortable to talk. Okay. Have you taken anything for your headache? If he says yes, then ask when, how much did it help? 3 questions. When did you take it? How much did you take it? Did it help? Okay. If he say, I haven't taken any medication, doctor, you ask again question. Okay. Do you have any allergies? This is important. Before giving patient any medication, even the paracetamol, you have to ask, do you have any allergies? Confirm this. No, doctor. Okay. Do you want me to give you some painkiller? Yes, doctor. Okay. Then you say, okay, I will talk to my senior doctor and I will give you some painkiller in a while. Okay. So these are two, like, normally they don't say that they need a painkiller. They say, no, doctor, I'm okay to talk. Okay. So you carry on with your consultation. Don't just hang up there. Now, if patients say headache or anything, you need to ask another open question. Can you please tell me more about your headache, or more about your chest pain, or more about your tummy pain? Okay. Because if he's okay, if he has to tell you, he will give you a history. What happened, when did it started, how started. But nowadays, the patient they are not telling you everything because they want you to tell them what are the questions you are asking, because the examiner want to see that you are doing your presenting complaint properly or not. So they say, what do you want to know, doctor? So then you start, can you please just tell me with your finger where exactly the pain is? So this is your site. Okay, you don't say like where the pain is. No, where, can you please point with your finger where exactly the pain is? Okay. Then onset, when did it started? Okay. Maybe it is because if it is acute, you have to keep in mind that you have to act fast. It is an emergency. If it is chronic, then you can carry on with your you can carry on with your history. You will then in the management, you will change your management according to the onset of the pain. Acute, you have to refer to hospital. Chronic, you have to do further investigations, further tests, senior specialist. Then you ask character, like whether it is sharp, whether it is dull, whether it is tightening, stabbing. Okay. Then radiation. Radiation is very important question in ruling out your differential. If the patient is having chest pain, if the pain radiating to the neck and when you ask this question, you have ruled out MI here, or you know that he is having MI, isn't it? Yes. Or if you ask radiation, if the pain is going to back, it means it is an emergency as well. Maybe it is ruptured aortic aneurysm. Yes. So radiation important in ruling out your differentials in case of the chest pain. So you don't need to ask then further questions. So that's how you focused your history, you showed your history. If you pay attention to your Socrates, what you are asking and what you are excluding. Now, associated symptoms like any nausea, any vomiting, heart racing, any weakness in the arms and face, any pain in the legs, any diarrhea, any vomiting. Timing. Timing means for how long you are having this pain. Okay. Whether he's having this pain for like 2 hours, whether it is coming and going. Then the factors which increase the pain and decrease the pain. So this question again important when patient coming to you with a chest pain. If he says to you that my pain is relieved when I'm leaning forward, you know that what you are ruling out here. Can someone tell me, please, so I can know that you are listening, not sleeping?
Pericarditis.
Yes. See, in the Socrates, you have done your DDs, 3 of them, isn't it? And you will know that why he is having pain. So if you pay attention to this P1 and you ask your Socrates properly, you don't need to ask any more differential because you know what's going on with the patient. If it's chest, you have this important tool in your hand, use it. Okay, then scale. Scale is important because it tells you the severity of the condition, whether the condition is serious, whether he's fine, whether the patient can manage or whether he's unable to manage. Okay, now Socrates we use only for pain. Remember this thing. For any other complaint, we use Odipera. Because some of the time we get confused what to ask, what not to ask. So whenever there is a pain, there is Socrates. Other than the pain, you need to follow this mnemonic, Odipera. It is same as Socrates. O is for onset, whether it is acute or chronic, whether it starts suddenly or it starts gradually, it is important. Then D for duration, when did it started? Then I for intensity, how bad is it? You can ask scoring here as well. Is he able to talk? Is he tolerating the pain or not? Whether then P is for progression. Is it getting worse? It is getting better with time. Then A is for aggravating factors, like is your pain is getting worse by doing certain things. Now, let me give you example. Like if patient is coming to you with the shortness of breath, if he says, well, my shortness of breath is getting worse when I lie down on the bed. So what you are thinking now?
Heart failure.
Yes, see, heart
Mhm.
failure, isn't it? So these questions are important because you are ruling out your differential. So then you know that he must be having heart failure. Okay, relieving factor, the same thing. If he's like leaning forward, or if he is sitting up in the heart failure, he say, yes doctor, when I sit down and put some pillow on my back, my shortness of breath is getting better, isn't it? So these questions are important and you need to ask everything. Then anything else mean any nausea, any vomiting, any temperature, you can ask according to your scenario. Okay, because this question is important. This is like an open question. Is there anything else apart from shortness of breath? He might say to you, yes doctor, I'm having cough. So again, you need to follow your Odipera. Since when did it started? How did it started? Is it getting better or worse? Is there anything that makes it better? Is there any phlegm or sputum coming out with it? Any temperature, any heart racing? Okay. So these are things which you have to exclude in anything else. Because if he is having shortness of breath, he must be having something else with it. Okay. So differentials. Now after P1, so what we were doing up till now, see, we were doing up till now P1. Yes, we were exploring our P1. And when we were exploring our P1, we will get to something, whether it is having patient is having chest pain, whether it is something else, whether it is pancreatitis, whether it is pericarditis. Then I have written that always remember differential comes after exploring the presenting complaint. If still you don't know what's going on with the patient, you can ask few more questions related to that system. What do you mean by this? If patient is coming to you with the pain in the tummy, rule out what's in the tummy that might cause his pain. Maybe he is having constipation. Maybe he's having some urinary infection. Maybe he's having some stone. That's why he's having pain. Maybe he's having some, ulcers. Maybe he's having some pancreatitis. Or if it's come with the headache, maybe he's having some problem with his vision. Maybe there is glaucoma, head injury. So your DDs will be according to the complaint of the patient. When patient come say I'm having something, just look at the patient and think what things are there in the nearby of that structure where the patient is having pain or shortness of breath or anything else. Don't remember anything. Okay. And other thing is risk factor. So risk factors are the same. Risk factor excluding means what are the risk factors? In the chest pain, what are the risk factors? Risk factors are stroke. You have asked him, does your pain goes anywhere else? Does you have any weakness in the arm? Is there anything else with this? When you say this question, is there anything else? Any weakness in the arm? You are ruling out stroke. Okay. Risk factors like, you know, mm, subarachnoid hemorrhage when it's headache. Risk factors like meningitis. And flows. Flows we don't use in every station, but it is your backbone. Why it is your backbone of your history? Because if suppose a patient is coming to you, he's elderly, he's having some problem, he is he's tired. Then you can ask him flows. This is your DD as well. Fever, lethargy. Okay, just add one more thing in the lethargy is lumps and bumps. Means any cancer symptoms, weight loss, night sweats. So these are red flags. Fever for meningitis as well. Lethargy, lumps and bumps, appetite, loss of appetite, weight loss, night sweats. These are important questions when the patient coming to you with a history of long-term condition, like if he's having any bleeding per rectum, if he's coming to you with tiredness, losing weight, you ask these questions, flows. Okay. Now comes the main thing in your history, which is I's. I for ideas, C for concern, and E for expectation. In emergency situation, we don't need to ask ideas or expectation. We just ask concern because patient might be having some concern. So this is very important question you ask after P1. Do you have, apart from this pain, do you have any other concern? Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. So concern is, do you have anything, any worry apart from this pain, or are you worried about anything apart from this? He might give you some concern. So please ask concern after your P1. If you don't ask this concern, you will not be able to finish your management properly, because he might be having some concern about his headache. He might be thinking that he's having cancer. When he is having chest pain, he might be thinking that he's having heart failure or he's having something else. If you don't ask him, he will not say to you. So always ask so that you can answer his concern while you are talking to him in the management part. Okay. So is there any particular thing you are worried about? Ideas we ask like when is a chronic condition. When patient comes to you with like tiredness, long-term condition, you can say, well, I can see that this has been going on for a while. Have you given a thought what might be the cause of your symptoms? Why you're having this? This is how you ask. Idea. Do you know why you're having this? No, doctor. Maybe he knows something, he can give you answer. Yes, I know, doctor. I was drinking alcohol. Maybe that's why I'm having hangover. Okay. So when you ask, they will answer you. Okay. So P1 is your presenting complaint. Explore it. If it is pain, ask Socrates. If it is anything else, ask Odipara. Then if you don't get to any of your differential, just try to rule out 1 or 2 differential. That's more than enough. Don't ask 5 or 7 differential. You will be wasting your time. 2 or 3 differential is enough. Then you ask the patient about concerns, if he's having any concern. If it is old patient or you are suspecting that he might be having some cancer, ask flows. Like in the tiredness as well, ask flows, long-term condition. Then we come to P2. See, P1, which is the presenting complaint. P2, you ask 2 questions here. Have you had this before? Or do you have any other medical condition? This is easy. Most of the time, the patient say, no, I don't have any medical condition. No, no, no. So don't waste your time in, in asking, okay, do you have heart problem? Do you have diabetes? No. If you ask, do you have any medical condition? He said, no, stop there, move on. Don't just, keep asking everything. No. Then comes your P3. P3 is personal history or DESA, I mean diet, exercise, smoking, or alcohol. And in some scenarios, we do. Can you please mute yourself, doctor? Thank you. Okay. So in the DESA, in some of the station, we ask about recreational drugs or sexual history. Okay, like there's a scenario in which a man is coming with the swelling in the groin area. So because you need to ask about his smoking, you need to okay, see, you don't need to ask everything in the history. It depends on your station. Now, if the patient is coming to you with swellings in the groin area, you don't need to ask about his diet. Don't ask about his exercise. Ask about smoking, alcohol, because you have to ask him about more things here. You have to focus on the recreational drugs and sexual history. So don't waste your time on diet or exercise. Omit these questions. If the scenario is something related to, drug abuse or sexual history, that's how you cut short your history. And okay. And in cases where you have got female, always ask about 5 symptoms, 5 things: periods, pills, pregnancy, pap smear, partner. Partner when you're suspecting some infection, or partner is everywhere actually. When a young girl is coming to you, you need to ask her about periods, pills. By any chance you're pregnant, you will not ask a 16-year-old about the pap smear, but you can ask about the partner because she's coming for pills. Okay, so see, you have to pick and choose things according to scenario. Okay, after the personal history or DESA, that comes Maftoza. Maftoza is like your core of the history. Why? Because here you have got medication history, you have got allergy history, you have got family history, you have got the social history. In some scenarios is important, and you have got occupation and traveling history. So M is for medication, A is for allergies, F is for family history, T for travel history, O for occupation, S for social history, and A for anything else. Medication history is very important. So in some scenarios, if there is no need to ask all of the Maftoza, just ask 3 things: MAF, medication, allergy, family history. Because in some of the stations, travel history is not important. Occupation is not important. Social history is only important in the elderly patient, in the child, and when you're having a patient in which his symptoms are related to the occupation, like the patient coming with hearing loss, or a patient coming to you with hemoptysis, and you are suspecting lung cancer. In those situations, you ask occupation. Otherwise, these things, travel, occupation, social, and anything else, you can omit. You can, you can just ask 3 things main. medication. Do you take any medications? Okay. When you ask allergies, don't say, do you have any allergies? Say, do you have any known allergies? Known means known, which is written, which are there in his notes, which he knows. Because he said, no, doctor, I don't know. Do you have any known allergies? Any family history of medical conditions? That's how you ask. Okay?
Dr. Shah, sorry to cut you.
No, no,
Is it
no,
compulsory asking about hospital admission and surgeries, or that
no,
also is
no,
selective?
no. Why? See, if it is a scenario where you are uh, where there is a consultant is asking you to do some, pre-op assessment, isn't it? So
Yes.
in those scenarios, because you know that he might be, you can ask, do you have any surgeries before? You can ask there, but not here. Okay. So it,
Okay.
yes, so it depends what your scenario is. Like the family history is important. When a young patient is coming to you, he's saying to you, I have got swelling in my scrotum.
Mhm.
Because your station is based on family history. He will give you history that my brother or my father had this, had had the cancer. Otherwise, everything is normal. Your history is all no, 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 no doctor, no doctor, no doctor. But when you come to family history, he will say, yes, my brother has the cancer and he's just 40 years of age. So see, it depends. So here you know that he has a family history and you have to refer him urgently because he is at risk.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, so that's how you need to pick and choose. If everything is, see, when you take the history, if you see that everything is normal, past medical history, no, they saw no, then you must be thinking there must be something either in the medication or either in the allergies or either in the family history, which is important. So you will get your diagnosis or you will get your management from here, what you need to do further. So you need to pay attention. If everything is going normal, so there must be problem in Maftosa. Okay, now after asking the history, P1, P2, P3, P4, say thank you to the patient. Thank you for answering me all of the questions. If it is normal case, say, is there anything you are expecting me to do for you today? Or is there anything specific in your mind? No, doctor. Yes, doctor. I want an MRI. See, if you ask, he will say to you. If you don't ask, he will not say to you. And then when you go to management, he will say, doctor, I want an MRI. So if it is feasible, if it is not emergency, ask ideas, ask concern, ask expectation. Is there anything particular you are expecting me to do for you today? This is called patient-centered approach. You are involving him, you are asking him. You're not just ordering things without involving the patient. Okay? So these are things which you need to keep in mind. After this examination, always ask that, is it okay if I can check your observations? Yes, doctor. I will be checking your blood pressure, temperature, and I will be listening to your heart and your lungs. And if it is some systemic problem, mention that, and I will also examine your tummy, or I will also examine your leg, your hand, your
No,
wrist.
my problem.
Sorry.
I just feel sad. It took so long to know.
Sorry. Are you talking to me?
No.
Okay. So, okay. So here, please wake up. Always ask your basic investigations after verbalizing examination. Okay, this is very important thing you need to know if you want to get through this management. Otherwise, you will stuck there, you will not get marks. So after saying thank you for letting me to examine you, I would like to do some basic investigation for you. And it depends according to your scenario. See, there are so many investigations, but these are basic one. You will not say everything. If patient is coming to you with the problem, with the pain while passing urine, you say, I will be doing urine dipstick for you, plus your blood test, full blood count and infection marker. Finish. Okay, don't mention all of the things other than that. You say this word, he will give you cardboard. Doctor, here, these are my investigations. If it is positive for infection, you know what's going on with the patient. You tell him what he's having. Well, after talking to you and after looking at the investigation, what I'm suspecting is that you might be having an infection in your urine. So what we will do for you now, I would like to talk to my senior doctor. We might need to give you some antibiotics for that. Would that be okay with you? See, that's how you say, would that be okay with you? He say, yes, doctor. Okay. Is it clear so far?
Yes, doctor.
Yes. See, if you don't ask investigation after examination, do you say that he's having urinary infection? You will be like, we say, well, what I'm suspecting, it might be, some infection, some this and that. But if you say your investigation after examination, you will say confidently what your patient is having. Okay, like we did in the mock, the young girl with the DKA. If you don't say investigation here, you will not get those investigations. So you will say, well, what I'm suspecting, you might be having diabetes, you might be having hypothyroidism. When you tell her everything, you go to your investigation. He gives you the cardboard, and now you have got only 1 minute left. What you will do? You will be panicking to finish your station. But when you do your investigation, basic investigation, according to your scenario, here, you will have something in your hand to do your management completely. Okay. I know that, because everyone is saying we do the investigation in the management, but we have done everything. And if we come to this part at the very end, and your patient is giving you results at the very end, you will not be able to finish your station. You will give maybe a wrong diagnosis, a wrong, the treatment to the patient, and you will not be able to finish your management. So please try to follow this. this structure. After examination, verbalize your basic investigation. They will give you investigations, what has been done, what you will say your provisional diagnosis, then involve your senior. If you want to admit, refer, observe, then say your basic treatment. And as a junior doctor, your basic treatments are only oxygen, painkillers, fluids, and antibiotics. Don't say what antibiotics you say. Say, we will be giving you antibiotics according to the hospital protocol. Your job is done. Don't say, I will give you clarithromycin, this and that for 5 days. No, we will be giving you antibiotics according to the hospital protocol. That's it. And then in some of the stations, you have to advise the patients about lifestyle. That's why I have written here lifestyle advice, because of course, when it is a counseling station, you have to give him lifestyle advice. That's your management. Okay. And then if it's you're referring the patient to specialist, say, well, we will be referring you to specialist who might do further test, or who will assess you and do further investigation. Don't say, I will refer you to. No, you, because in the hospital we work as a team. So always say we, because you are not doing these things on your own. You are doing under the umbrella of your senior doctor. So always say we will be, we might need to refer you to hospital, we might need to refer you to specialist, we might need to give you antibiotics or oxygen or IV fluids, unless and until you are in emergency situation, like in the Siemens, you are there, you will be giving him oxygen. So you can say, is it, so you can say, is it okay if I can give you oxygen? Because you are treating there. Okay. While in other cases, just say we will be doing this for you. Then safety netting. Safety netting is for the symptoms which are present, for which the patient is here. You say, if your symptoms will get worse, or you develop any other symptoms, like any complications, please come back to us straight away. Then follow-up. Follow-up is, don't give any time frame in the follow-up. Say, I will see you, we will see you in few weeks time. Is that okay? And in the meantime, if you think that you are not getting better, please come back to us. Then if you have time, give some printed information, or you are on the phone, send some information through the email or through the text, through the SMS, because these are the things which are using nowadays, because they send you information on the phone, through SMS, through email. So you can use this in your consultation. Okay, so we have done now. Now let's start the questions, if you have any.
Sorry, Dr. Shaz.
Yeah.
Please, concerning the what you talked about follow-up, you said we shouldn't give any specific time, right?
Yes. No, don't give specific time. Say, we will see you in few weeks time.
Okay. What of the case of like that station that there is a child with tantrums, and usually some of the like scripts say that maybe you should review the patient in 4 weeks or thereabout, or you tell the mother that maybe if she notices any change, she should bring the child in. How do we go about that?
Yes, see, you will use the same strategy. Just say, well, because okay, the one more thing is that, a normal child under the age of 5, these things are really, really common. So this is the common behavior of a child. This is
Okay.
okay. So you can
Mhm.
say, well, I know that you are really worried about your child, but after talking to you, what it seems like that it is a normal behavior for a child of this age. So what you need to do is try to, you need to advise the mother about strategies, how she can tackle those episodes when
Mhm.
the child is out of control. Then say, okay, what we can do is, we will see your child in few weeks time. Say like this, if
Mhm.
there is anything you concerned about in the meantime, if he's having any high temperature, any rash, please call us again or come back to us again.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of the examination now, since it's over the phone, we'll state like ideally I would love to examine your child, right?
Yes, no, yeah, say ideally I would have to examine your child, but at this moment, it seems like everything is okay. So if you ever think that your child is not well, please come back to us or please give us a call, because
Okay.
you have to verbalize. Ideally I should have examined your son, but
Mhm.
okay, like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm. Because there is a there's the marks for your examination in your report card. They will mark you on that whether you have said or not, so you have
Okay.
to say it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so someone say, how managing structure, how can apply to chronic fatigue syndrome? Chronic fatigue syndrome is just the same because patient coming to you with a history of months. So in this station, your IPS is very important because he is having this for months. You can ask, well, I know that you are having this for a long time, so how this is affecting you, how this is affecting your life, are you able to do your normal physical activities or not? Okay, so that's how you need to do. Management is like, you know management of the chronic fatigue syndrome, it is, you have to refer him because he might need some physiotherapy, he might need some, what they call is special exercise programs, that what they need. Mm. We will do that station, okay, don't worry, this chronic fatigue syndrome, because this is a very common station in the exam and you should know. We will do it, inshallah. Any other question or just we finished it?
Sorry, doctor, and I want to ask you, and when we are approaching children pediatrics, how, like, any particular structure that you follow regarding the examination, like when you're examining the child, uh, like any particular structure, like you go from head to toe, like, is there any?
Well, I don't think that there is any scenarios in which you have to actually examine the child, isn't it? You just verbalize. Ideally, I have to examine Jason or examine John. That's it.
Uh,
Because if it is, see, if it is a case of urticaria, which is coming as a telephonic consultation, in which when you say, well, ideally I have to examine John. So they will say, well, doctor, I have sent you a picture. So the picture will be there on the table. So you will see the picture, then you will give your diagnosis.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is nothing like, there is no station in which you have to specifically examine a child. You need to just verbalize.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, so Dr. Shaz, we just need to say, ideally, I would like to examine maybe John. We don't need to say, ideally, I would like to check his maybe temperature and all. We don't need to give that details here.
No, don't give them, no, because
Okay.
he's not there. You know that you will, when you examine the child, you will check everything, isn't it?
Yes.
So just say, well, ideally, I would have to, well, I will have to examine your son. That's it. So she will say, well, doctor, this is the,
Okay. What of in the case of an adult? Is it same too? We just say, ideally, I would like to examine you. That's if it's a telephone conversation.
yes, I think it is the same, because you know, because in the telephonic, mostly the station they are coming are the counseling ones and the ethical ones and the BBNs one. So you don't get the chance to say this examination part. If you still,
Okay.
you can say, well,
Mhm.
ideally, like if the telephonic consultation and the patient is on oxybutynin, I think, and she's having dizziness or something
Mhm.
like that. So you can mention, well, ideally I would have to check your, you know, blood pressure standing or lying down. That's it.
Okay. Okay. And then in the case of where the counseling stations where maybe a patient is coming in for their results,
Yeah.
you already have the results with you, and maybe the result is suggestive of a condition. Do you still state examination
Yes,
and
yes.
investigation? Or
Yes, we have to say it. We will do further investigations to make sure. Yes.
so where do you state this? Because from what you've told us, after the maftosa and all, after examination, you're supposed to state that I'll do basic exam investigations. But in the place where you've been giving the result, maybe for example, PCOS, so you've been giving the LH and FSA,
Mm-hmm.
and you've told the patient that, okay, ideally I would love to examine you. The next thing now, ordinarily, it should be that maybe, okay, I have your results with me and this is what it shows and all. Is there still a need to say, I will examine you before you disclose the results? I don't know if you get me.
I get you. You take the history of the patient. Okay, everything is
Mhm.
fine. Well, you say yes. Well, uh, ideally, I would have to examine you. Okay, so, or you can say like this. Okay, so, well, because this is important, because because in every station there is a mark for examination. They will mark
Yes.
you, so you have to say it for
Okay.
that mark, for that
Mm,
tick, that you have said it,
mm,
even though it is not necessary here.
mm. No,
But
what I'm saying, Dr. Shaz, is I understand for examination. I'm talking about investigation. You said we're
okay,
supposed
okay, I got it now. Okay, so you
yes.
say, okay, well, ideally I should have to examine you. Okay,
Mm,
so uh so Christina, now I've got your result, and you know, after examining, you tell her result, what is there.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
then you
Mm,
say, well, I will be talking to my senior. We might need to refer you to a specialist, because we might need to do some scan of your abdomen for further
okay.
investigations.
Investigations. Okay.
Okay, you can
Okay.
say like this.
I get you. Thank you.
You don't worry. So like in every result station, you have to verbalize examination for your own, you know,
Max. Okay.
marks, nothing else.
Mm,
But after that, explain the result to the patient. Then if you need further test, you do the further test.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, one more. For example, is it compulsory that you must always state the medical, like, how am I going to put it? If a patient, like, from the result now, you're suspecting the patient has PCOS, right? Is it compulsory that you say, okay, from your results, this shows
Yes,
this and that, and I'm
yes,
suspecting you have a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome. Maybe have you
yes,
ever heard about it?
yes,
Or you must
because
state the name. Okay.
yes, because it is a result station as well as it is a bit of BBN station, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, so you have to tell because that's what they want you to know, that how you will explain to the patient.
Okay, so what about the case of maybe TB and pulmonary TB? Now, can you just say, I'm suspecting you have some infection in your lungs and leave it at that, or you need to state that TB and then you explain it?
No need to explain. Just say you have got what I'm suspecting, that you're having an infection in your lungs. That's it. Because how do you know it is a TB?
Mm-hmm.
Have you done test? Have you got the result with you? 100%?
No.
No, so don't say it.
Okay.
Okay, just be safe. Just say what I'm suspecting, it is an infection. Like in the same scenario, if it is a if there is a mass, you can say that, well, it could be anything like an infection, or
Mm.
in the worst case scenario, it might be something sinister like a cancer.
Mm.
But you need to say infection first because you don't know.
Okay.
On just x-ray, you can't say that this is a cancer.
Okay.
So, sorry, doctor. So, if there is particular diagnosis, like like, for example, not infection or let's say chronic fatigue syndrome, we're thinking about the chronic fatigue syndrome or apnea, something like that. A patient is presenting with tiredness or something like that. So, like, shouldn't we shouldn't we mention about the diagnosis, or like how we would go after that, if
Yes, because this is very controversial scenario, but because they give you history of infection, okay, then they develop this tiredness. So you could say, well, what, because you're having this condition for a long time, and as you have told me that you had a viral infection before that, so what I'm suspecting that it could be due to a condition called chronic fatigue syndrome.
yeah.
But to confirm this, I need to talk to my senior doctor, and we have to do some further investigations for you to make sure we are not missing anything out
Okay.
like this. Okay.
Uh,
Hello, doctor. One more question.
Yes.
In the management, how can we tell the patient the initial plan of the management in one line, one sentence initially, just to outline
Okay, like if
all
it
the
is,
components?
yeah, if it is like an infection, you can say, well, uh, would you like to know what we will do for you? So after talking to my senior, we might need to prescribe you some antibiotics. Okay. And if we need, we might need to do some test for you, because
Mhm.
initial management is the management you will do what you're giving him, isn't it? Either you're giving him painkiller, either you're giving him antibiotics.
Yes.
That's your management. So you can say like this, well, what I will do for you now is after talking to my senior, we will be giving you some painkillers and antibiotics.
Mhm.
Okay. And if your condition not get better, we might need to refer you to a specialist.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
No worries, doctor. Thank you so much. All right.
Yes, please. Sorry, I have a question.
Yes, doctor.
In telephone consultation, for example, the case of where a patient is coming in with is calling in respect of severe pain in the eyes. For
See-
example,
Mhm.
pain in the eyes, pain in the eyes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're suspecting maybe from the history you've taken, if you're suspecting maybe acute ankylosing glaucoma, do you
Mhm.
now say, from what you've told me, this is the I'm suspecting this, or you just say it sounds like something a bit serious, so I would want you to come into the hospital, or you need to state what you're thinking about that. I don't know.
Yes, like if it is a case of emergency on the telephone, yes, if you are suspecting that she might be having the ankylosing glaucoma or something else, you might say, well, what I'm suspecting is that there is some if it is a clear-cut history of ankylosing glaucoma, you can say that what I'm suspecting that you might be having a condition in which there is increased fluid develops in the eyes, and it is a serious condition. And what I want is that if it's possible, please go to the hospital, then try to figure out whether the patient is alone or she is or he is with someone. If it is not, send the ambulance.
Okay. So I don't need to state it because it hasn't been confirmed yet, right?
No, because you don't know because you haven't examined. But if
Seeing the
patient
patient. Okay.
patient is saying that she's having the pain 9, and because you haven't seen anything, but if you're suspecting something serious, just say what I might be thinking, that you need to be seen by a specialist in the hospital. So if it is possible, there is someone who can take you to the hospital. If she says no, he says no, say, all right, don't worry, I will be talking to my senior and I will be sending you an ambulance.
Okay.
So that's how you need to manage your situation if it is emergency.
Mhm. Thank you.
Please tell me about chronic fatigue syndrome, like first step of management when you are telling, explaining and like that. Then what we will say, we will keep you under observation or we will admit you.
Sorry, I didn't hear you properly, Dr. Alicia.
I said for chronic fatigue syndrome,
Yes.
what we will do the patient to do further investigation and like that, we will keep him under observation or we will admit him or we will just discharge him.
No, because chronic fatigue syndrome is coming as a telephonic consultation. So we will be giving him follow-up appointment, and we will be asking him that we can say that, okay, we would like to do some investigation for you. If that possible, that you can come to the clinic. Okay. So you will do some investigation for you, and then you can ask him the management to keep himself active, to do some exercises, and then if it is not controlling, then we might need to refer him to physiotherapists. And there's a program which is called gradual degraded exercises, I think. I'm not remembering. So yeah, so
What role in this situation?
sorry.
What about psychiatrist role for CBT in this situation? We will mention that also.
Okay, CBT comes when the patient is, if you ask, because this is a long-term condition, you say, well, this is a long-term condition, so how this is affecting your mood? You have to ask this question, isn't it? You have to ask, because here the social history and his mood history is very, very important. If you see that he is depressed because of his condition, then you might say, well, if you need, we can refer you to talking therapy, so that you can understand what you are having, because this is a lifelong condition.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, no worries, no worries. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
That your handwritten notes for Meftosa and history taking, we can get in your group. or not?
Yes, it is in the group. I have shared it in the group. You can get it from there.
Great. So nice. Yeah.
Okay, okay. No problem. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice evening. Okay, I will see you soon, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.